Every time I try to get out of this case, every time I try to say, all right, that's enough with Fani Willis, every time I try to leave, they draw me back in. This case won't stop. It gets better and better and better. And this time, the jadrul of all time, Nathan Wade, Fani Willis's lover boy. He's now filing a motion to absolutely stop his former lawyer and law partner's testimony, Terrence Bradley, regarding anything. Why is that? Because it will prove that he's been lying about everything. And I haven't talked to you about the other evidence that he's lying regarding phone cell tower testimony. That's for another video, so be on the lookout for that one. This thing just keeps getting better and better. This guy thought, I'm just going to say, whatever it is. Who knew that it would be involving the biggest case ever in the history of American jurisprudence? You might think that's a bit, I'm a bit exaggerative. Not in the least. A racketeering case against a former president, not just any former president, Donald Trump, brought by this arrogant, self-entitled idiot. There's no other word for it. She's an idiot. She just thought, I could do whatever I want. Not now. That may have flown in, Fulton County before, but you're swimming with the sharks now, and they've got you targeted. So who does she bring in? Her boy toy, lover boy, Nathan Wade, who says, we never had sex. I don't even know how to follow this. We never had sex until 2022. Caca del Toro, as we say in West Tampa. This is the most ridiculous thing. They've known each other since 2019, and you mean to tell me these two never did the until 2022? Stop it. So now you've got this Terrence Bradley. Oh, my God, this poor guy. He was Nathan Wade's former law partner and lawyer in his defense. Or rather, maybe defense, technically speaking, in his divorce case against Joycelyn Wade. And by the way, they're still married. Oh, yeah. You see, Wade is so stupid. This guy thought when he was asked in an interrogatory under oath, a pleading in his divorce case, they said, did you ever have sex outside of your marriage? Which would be basically now, from this time, because he's still married. Anyway, so what he did was he thought, well, I didn't do this when I was happily married, because he's claiming that he was cuckolded in 2015 and that therefore there really wasn't any marriage that he would be under any kind of moral or actual obligation to honor. So, yeah, given that, I'm going to say, no, I never did. When in fact he did, and everybody knows he did. Then he went back and tried to change things. They say, well, I'm not sure. Why did you change that? Why did you go? Are you taking the fifth? Oh, no, I'm not taking the fifth. I'm just changing things. Why? Because out of a sense of privacy. Privacy. He just makes, same thing with Fani. They just make this stuff up. When they feel that somehow the system has traversed their own sense of privacy, they go berserk. You've been lying. She says this from this. They were going to strike her testimony, Fani's testimony. Nobody strikes testimony. This is how bad she is. And I wish this judge would grow a pair and shut her up. Threaten to hold her in contempt. What do you give her, like $25 in a campaign? That doesn't mean anything. Get out of this. Punt this case. McAfee, what's the matter with you? You're going to be the next Judge Ito. For God's sakes, man. Understand what's happening. So anyway, back to Casanova. He says, well, I'm going to go and block this Terrence Bradley from daring to say anything involving what happened with me, because after all, this was attorney-client privilege. What? Yes, it's attorney-client privilege. Now, privileges are kind of a neat thing. And this is an evidentiary rule. And it's really interesting. And by the way, be very careful about what is and what is not privilege. Privileges deal with statements that are made confidentially between attorney and client in situations where there is a reasonable expectation of privacy, where nobody overhears this. You can't have an attorney-client privilege discussion at a party where people are overhearing you. It's got to be done specifically with the idea and with the intent that you are talking to each other. Nobody can be listening to this. In any event, but if you've also divulged it elsewhere, you might have waived it. You might have even waived this. Now, this is the most incredible thing. The prosecutor's office, this is what I love about this case. This is the one. On one minute, they need his testimony, and then they don't need his testimony. They have this guy, and they say, basically, they call him, are you going to testify? At first he says, well, I don't know anything about when this relationship occurred. Oh, yeah? Then they trash him. Isn't it true that you had to leave the law firm with Mr. Wade because you were accused of sexual impropriety, sexual battery, sexual assault, what? I kind of thought that was quiet. Well, it's not, buddy. Did you or did you not? I don't know. I don't know if I should talk about this. Well, did you pay this woman, ostensibly a woman, did you pay her $20,000 for settlement? Well, this is Terrence Bradley now. Well, I don't know. I left some money behind in an escrow account. Escrow account, that's not petty cash. It's another issue. I mean, I'm not sure if I should be talking about this. This is the prosecution's office trashing him. So are you telling the truth or not telling the truth? And meanwhile, Ashley Merchant, who's Roman's lawyer, he comes in. She comes in, by the way, and she says, basically, we've talked about this. Remember when I provided you this information? Remember when I provided this information in a text and you said, yeah, sounds good to me? He doesn't know what he's doing. He's got talking to this one, talking to that one. And if they do rule that this was attorney-client privilege, he might be looking at separate bar complaints for divulging something. I mean, this guy doesn't know what to do. But the funny part is, as I alluded, the cell tower stuff is even better because it tells how long he was there. Lover boy Casanova. How long was he at Fani Willis's place? For how long? What time of the day? How many times did they text? We'll get to that one later. That's a good one. That's a good one. But this is just for the purposes of it. This is just getting more and more complicated, which shows more and more perjury, more and more lying, more and more contempt for the court. Now, let me explain something to you. Number one, this is, as I've stated, one of the biggest cases anybody has ever seen. This is the biggest case ever because it involves racketeering, albeit state, but still racketeering against a former president, not only any former president, but Donald Trump, okay? That's number one. Number two, it's this arrogant, meathead, loud, braggadocious, this unbelievably unrestrained, uncouth, this entitled, arrogant, I think, Fani Willis, who lies, cash, this Jadrul, who also, by the way, he's been dragged through the mud, this sexually emasculated, prostate, bereft, shell of a man, tossed to the side, tossed to the curb, thrown under the bus. It just keeps getting better. And like I said, every time I try to say, okay, that's enough, I've said enough about this. No, there's more. This doesn't happen. You don't see this. Look at Trump with Tish James in New York. Okay, Engeron, $350 million. Very quiet, very, very, very formal. You might not like the case, but Tish James is acting like a lawyer, like the Attorney General. This is like Ricky Lake meets Jerry Springer in a head-on collision, and it's getting better. I promise you, I will keep you apprised of this, and I will also make sure you understand what all this means. So do me a favor. Put your thoughts and comments down. Can you believe this? Can you believe this? Now, do me a favor and comment as you see fit.